Are we ready? Is no an option? Is no ever an option? Like, maybe not.
I always say no. So,
Allie, we miss you. We miss you. You are on a secret operation in the Northeast.
Yes, I am. And it's
kind of a secret weapon.
It has been, it's been eye-opening, incredible. So yeah, I'm excited to be here though, to be with you guys. So.
You know, I do. Before we roll our intro, I do want to say one of the things you've told me about being in the Northeast.
Monster is so big, but how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So
every time you say that, I think, Allie, I would never eat an elephant.
I know, but it's just,
give me a good steak.
It's a good saying. I know. I need to find something else, but you know, it is what it is.
We've got a ton to cover today. We are gonna talk about what they're finding out with the webs behind the Charlie Kirk assassination and the terrorist organizations behind it, where those threads lead. Also, Jimmy Kimmel. No longer, because he tried his leftist rhetoric and we're just not having it anymore. I don't like, muting free speech, but there is such a thing as having some integrity when you're reporting news.
We'll talk about it.
We will. Let's go ahead and open the mic.
We're wearing our red hats, more than just a feeling. Oh, better be believing, and America's gonna be home.
What do you do when they try to cancel you? MAGA Nation, we cancel proof. My red hat stays on. My red hat stays on. You know I love God, but in Trump I trust. November 5th, you gon' ride with us. Our red hat stays on. Our red hat stays on. It's the mayor of Magaville, the RNC King. 2024, freedom gon' ring. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. I'm still fighting for each one of you. And keep your red hat on.
All right, open mic with Allie and Michelle. If you're not already, make sure that you follow at Real Allie Leger, at Michelle Posey, and of course at Open Mic Ladies on all social media platforms. How are you doing today, Allie?
I'm great. I'm a little tired, but I'm good. I'm good. I woke up with beach view, so lovely. I'm great.
But it's a different beach view. It's not Gulf Coast of Florida beach view, and I'm just saying we have the best.
No, it's not, but it is definitely reminiscent of home. So where I grew up in New Jersey, and I spent a lot of time in Fort Story, Virginia. So the beach has always been my special, like my happy place. So I'm blessed. I feel blessed.
Wonderful. And I feel a little jealous that you get to experience some of the changes of the seasons, because we get hot and hotter down here in Florida. But yeah, looking forward to hearing all about your trip. Allie, it's official. President Trump is not pulling any punches when he's designating Antifa as a terrorist organization. Take a look at this post the White House put out. He said he's pleased to inform patriots that Antifa, which he says, listen, it is a radical left disaster, a major terrorist organization. We saw this not just with the Charlie Kirk assassination, but we've seen their handiwork across our country. And we know it is highly funded by by narrowing it down to a terrorist organization, as they did the drug cartels, it allows our U.S. military and the government to play a bigger role in making sure that we weed out this kind of extremist, Marxist, Leninist, communist, all the ists, right? This is an anti-America sentiment that's it's a cancer in our culture.
100%.
What do you think of this? Is it the right time? Should he have maybe done this sooner? But I don't know.
I mean, sure, it could have been done sooner, but when, right? Like, he's only been in 8 months. There are other things that he had to take care of. And I do believe that designating these drug cartels a terrorist organization first was probably more beneficial, especially when it came to deportations, because that's what, designating these groups as that, you're able to deport and you're able to investigate where the funding comes from, where the funding is going. And I think that is what is going to happen with Antifa. It allows our federal government, the DOJ and the FBI, to really dig deep into the tentacles of Antifa, where their reach is, how far it goes, how deep it goes, and who is funding them, which I think is extremely important. We need to figure all of that out. And we know there's been some conversations in spaces and on the internet and in other circles where they're like, they're just gonna, change their name and like do other things, but they are paying attention to that. So they're able to figure out what names are coming out where and what different organizations they're going to divest into. So.
Absolutely. And when you trace these tentacles back to the large donors that we'll get to in just a minute, they are now on the radar. And this is the thing I was having a conversation with somebody that we, obviously, because we have intel on the inside of the Trump administration that we speak to a lot. But the way it was described to me is this: look, if we had soldiers landing on our soil, whether it's on, California's coast, on the East Coast, wherever, Gulf Coast, and they were infiltrating into our country, we would not think twice about sending armed soldiers, our own military, to defend our homeland. But what if people knew that that's really not a tactic? Because not only is our military the best it can be, but behind every blade of grass is usually somebody who's armed in this country, certainly in the state of Florida. So that's not an option. So how else do you take over a country? How else do you bring down the United States of America and all that we stand for? Well, we've talked about the fentanyl, the synthetic fentanyl that's coming across the southern border, courtesy of the Chinese. We've talked about the way they've gone into our schools to brainwash our children. There's all these different ways,
Right.
healthcare. I think this is another way through activism. The Antifa is not this freedom-loving group. They are funded from our adversaries across the ocean, across the pond. And we wouldn't allow this kind of infiltration in our country by any other means.
Right.
So we shouldn't be looking the other way. I liked how, and General Flynn, actually, he posted this. Let's take a look at this. He's talking specifically.
This is very informative.
Well, and he calls him out, George Soros. He says, George Soros, and I believe I'm going to add his son, Alex, is funding global terrorist organizations. He's talking specifically about the Open Society Foundation. Guys, our tax dollars, you and I, hardworking Americans, red-blooded Americans, middle-class Americans, our tax dollars have been given, as well as tax breaks, to his organization through USAID. So that was why it was so important to cut out USAID. We don't deserve to be paying for the very demise of our country, right, Allie?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I like that he said these groups include the Center for Third World Organizing and its militant partner Ruckus Society, which train activists in property destruction and sabotage during the 2020 riots, and the Sunrise Movement, which endorsed the Antifa-linked Stop Cop City campaign, in which activists currently face over 40 domestic terrorism charges and 60 racketeering indictments. He also talks about, at the same time, Open Society awarded $18 million to the Movement for Black Lives, a group that co-authored a radical guide that glorifies Hamas. Absolutely wild, right?
It is crazy. And to see firsthand, you talked about changing the names, right? That's
Yes.
what they do. They change the language, so it's always a moving target. It's like playing whack-a-mole. But
Yeah.
I've seen it firsthand, even in our school systems. They don't call it Antifa. They don't call it Marxism. But there is a push for the minds of our young people, which is why, I don't know if you saw, Allie, this isn't really on our agenda to talk about, but if you've seen the exponential growth of the organization Turning Point USA now across the country. The need for this is really, if you're, for those of our viewers that maybe don't know this, the need for this is because there has to be an alternative when it comes to our young people. They're going to choose what after school program they want to become a part of. They want to choose in what way they want to serve, whether it's in student government or in athletics. But there needs to be that opportunity, that alternative voice, really a voice of reason that you have in our school systems. We've not had that. We've long been shut out. This is exciting.
Exactly. I do love the fact that that General Michael Flynn is talking about arrest, indict, and imprison. Yes. We do need to see accountability. We are tired of seeing these press conferences that lead to nowhere. This is like the third time we've seen a press conference about Biden's administration assisting with child sex slavery. When are the arrests and indictments and imprisonments going to happen? Yes. It's just a question.
Thank God for people like General Michael Flynn who he appreciates the people in the administration. He talks highly of them all the time, but he's not afraid to say the hard things that say, listen, talk is good, but it's kind of cheap next to action. We would really prefer some action. We're going to get to that.
And he tags them. So
he tags them. Is that why we keep getting blocked by certain?
I am so shadow banned on X right now. It is insane. I don't know what's happening. I used to get like thousands of views, and now I'll post something and I'll get like 200 views in like 8 hours. And I have like 30,000 followers right now. So it's like wild. I don't know what's happening.
I'll tell you, the same thing's happening on Facebook and Rumble. Rumble doesn't even get shown a lot of times on Facebook. It's pretty interesting. Excited to hear JD Vance come out again really strong. I like that he's getting a chance to learn under Trump for 4 years, because I kind of see JD growing as well, and 2028 is looking exciting. Let's take a quick listen to this, and I want to get your thoughts.
You talk to the shooter's mother, you talk to the shooter's father, you talk to the local district attorney, you talk to the FBI director or the deputy director of the FBI. You look at every ounce of evidence that we have, and it is clear. This is a person who grew up in a pretty normal family, actually had a pretty good home life, who was radicalized by the far left, by the social networks of the far left, by the ideas of the far left, and got so far down the path of radicalization that he killed my friend. That is not a both sides problem. My friend is dead because of left-wing political radicalization. And if you want to cut that out, then be honest about it and look yourself in the mirror.
JD Vance has an open mic. I love it. Oh my God, it was so good. Allie, do you remember the day that I sat there and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this VP candidate?
I do. I remember.
I'm eating my word. I'm eating my word.
And now you're a cheerleader for him. And I mean, I'm here for it. I really am. I enjoy the fact that he is honestly a really great vice president. He speaks very well in the media, obviously, and he's holding down the fort for being, Trump's right hand. And he's right. I mean, the left's rhetoric is responsible for the murder of Charlie Kirk.
Which is why I don't want to hear, as he says here, I don't want to hear anything about this is a both sides of the aisle issue.
No, it's
both
not.
sides of the aisle have plenty of dirt, and we can talk about that on another time. But when you come to this kind of rhetoric that causes assassinations, as we've seen with the two attempts on taking Trump's life, it is the left-wing radicalization, not only of our children, but the way they control mainstream media, the way they control print, the way they used to control all of social media. That's why they had such a fit. When Elon took over X, they couldn't stand it. I like how he comes out and says, this isn't a unity thing. We're not reaching across the aisle singing Kumbaya. We are literally calling this out for what it is. It's a radical movement. And we know, because we've played a part in our country of doing this in other countries, whether you like it or not. Flynn talks about this a lot in the Flynn movie, that this is what we would do in other countries. We would go in and sort of help the young people to stand up to their government so we could see a change, a toppling of their government. But it doesn't feel so well when it's being done on this soil, and we're definitely not going to stand for it.
Right. No, definitely not. And we just need to continue to have the courage that Charlie did have. Don't idolize him, because I see a lot of that occurring right now. Is there seems to be this idolization of Charlie Kirk, and we need to make sure that we're aware of that and not idolize the man, but respect and encourage others to emulate what he did, because he lived his life as a projection of Jesus. So that's who we need to idolize, is Jesus, not Charlie.
And he did a great job. If we really look at his life, he did a great job of every time the spotlight was turned on him, or people asked him the reason why, his big why of what he does or how he wants to be remembered, he always turned that back to his faith. And I think you're right, Allie, that's a good example for us to emulate. So we kind of become a little less, it's not all about us. I like that thought. There is issues, guys, though, with, Turning Point USA, their main headquarters, obviously in Arizona, as they're gearing up for the big memorial that's going to take place this weekend. There is, and I don't think this has audio. We'll play the video, but Benny Johnson shared this, and I thought it was worth sharing. A bomb squad is responding to a suspicious bag reportedly left outside of
on scene right
Turning
now.
Point.
There was a bomb robot that was doing an initial inspection of the bag. I'm going to scoot over here. Suspicious bag left outside the Turning Point USA campus. Right
We can bring it
there.
back, Krista.
I'm guessing
what
it's that
happens.
big yellow suitcase.
I mean, the big yellow suitcase. Well, and listen, this is what happens when you have now independent investigative journalists, you and I, people with phones that can just bring you information right away. But we haven't heard a follow-up on what was actually found outside this. But this doesn't surprise me. There's been 2 memorials that have been set up to Charlie Kirk that have been vandalized already. One in which bystanders took matters into their own hands to kind of detain the person. So we're still seeing an escalation of the hate, really.
Exactly. It's quite scary. I mean, even in New York City, you saw there, I don't know if we covered it, but if you follow Brandon Strauch and the Walkaway campaign, you saw that there were people that were essentially calling them Nazis still and fascists while they were out trying to just have these conversations like Charlie has been doing. And like, Brandon has been doing for the past, God knows how long, since 2016. So it just needs to stop. When you are ruled by your emotions, you are easily controlled. And that is something that I think both sides need to understand, because we just can't fall into the same traps as the left has fallen into. So just be cognizant, self-aware.
And I think that's why it's important, Allie, and I know you do this with your work with Moms for America as well, it's why it's so important for us to play a role in teaching our children and our young people, even through school or through Turning Point, their civic engagement and their civic responsibility. Because if we can get them to understand that also is not based on emotion, it should be based on maybe it's passion, maybe it's ideals, maybe it's your faith. There's lots of things that play into why you vote the way you do. But to be able to stand firm on what you believe in without being emotionally instigated, because I just sidebar, just went through this at the school board meeting, to say that somebody on the school board had actually posted, this is an elected person, that all Trump supporters are Nazis. And I read that from the podium, and the uproar in the back of the room from all these young people, well, not all, I'd say like 10 young people that said, you are a Nazi. And I'm thinking, it's insane. It's insane. I think people that were alive during World War II, during Germany, during Nazi Germany, they must be rolling over in their graves going, you have no idea what that was like in Nazi Germany, to be calling people like you and I because we voted a certain way.
It's actually quite crazy to call do you not understand what a Nazi was? If you actually look at who Nazis were and what they did, they killed unarmed people. They took the arms from well-armed people. They locked them in their homes. They told them when they could eat, how they could eat, what they could eat, right? And then they took them from their homes. They had other people rat on them, like, oh, because you're Jewish, you have Jewish people in your community. They blamed them for everything wrong in society, and then took them away from the society and put them in train cars, right? And put them out to pasture and literally killed them in smokehouses. Like, they gassed them. That is not what we are doing. If anything, that is the opposite side. That is the other side. They are essentially attacking, criticizing, bullying, accosting. They're doing all of those things to the right. The right is not doing that to the left. You don't see MAGA going out and beating people up. You don't see MAGA going out and trying to, round up leftists and put them into train cars and bring them to a gas chamber. That is not what is happening. So enough with the Nazi calls, because clearly you don't understand what that even means.
Well, exactly, Allie. And it feels a lot more, as you said, like what the left, or what those who were in office during that time, what they did to us, those of us who maybe wanted to go out and get some fresh air. And in some states across the nation, we were told to be locked in and locked down. You were told that you couldn't go out and get sun. You had to wear a mask inside your own home. The neighbors were ratting on you. I know in places in like California, neighbors were calling and being rewarded for ratting on their neighbors for not wearing a mask inside their home if they could prove that, or outside in their front yard.
And it was the same people that were mad when we were comparing the vaccine card, right? That you got the COVID jab card to wearing a yellow star. If I had to get a jab in order to go to work, and if I had to wear a mask in order to go to work, what do you think that means? When in any other time in history did that occur?
Yeah.
During Nazi Germany.
Absolutely.
Occupation of a dictator.
And the ideology that, and I heard this spoken many times at our local, and again, we're in the free state of Florida, but some of our local county and city commission meetings where people were pushing to say, and I'm not talking about those elected, but those that would attend the meetings were pushing, hey, if they don't want to get a jab, then they deserve to die. Then they shouldn't be able to go to the emergency room. We shouldn't be able to treat them. They shouldn't be able to use the grocery store. They shouldn't be able to use the gas station. I shouldn't have to stand in line next to them. That sounds an awful lot like if you're a Jew, you're going to be extinguished in a concentration camp. And I remember thinking during COVID, Allie, if anybody ever wondered, what would I do if I would have been alive during those times? We're finding out. We're finding out who would have sold you out.
We are.
And thought your life was non-essential, basically. I want to kind of pivot a little bit because President Trump is over with the royal family, and I thought this was funny. They're sitting there at an outdoor event, and of course, there's a band playing, like a marching band. See if our viewers can pick up what song's being played. Let's take a listen. I love how behind the scenes, Allie and I are both doing the Trump dance.
That's amazing. I have not seen that yet. That is incredible. And I think I sent it to you in your messenger because I tried to click on it. It wasn't playing. It was like, oh, it's deleted. I'm like, oh no. So I was trying to mitigate, but wow. Okay. All right, you guys.
I know.
Okay.
So, I mean, think about that. That's how you influence not just our culture, but the world. Everybody understands that was a Trump song.
Oh, absolutely.
People, YMCA. If you didn't know, YMCA, Allie and I were doing the dance behind the scenes. But
that was incredible.
So more on his trip, I guess he's there with Marco Rubio, obviously King Charles. This is him and a little bit of his speech at Windsor Castle, which I think it's just breathtaking to see. But let's take a listen to Trump.
Your Majesty, Melania and I are deeply grateful to you and Queen Camilla for your extraordinary graciousness. And to William and Kate, thank you so much. It's been so great being with you today. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's a singular privilege to be the first American president welcomed here. And if you think about it, it's a lot of presidents, and this was the second state visit, and that's the first, and maybe that's going to be the last time. I hope it is, actually. But this is truly one of the highest honors of my life. Such respect for you and such respect for your country. For many decades, His Majesty the King is.
So I thought it was funny. This is not the first time that we've heard Trump say this. And then people stop me and ask me, what does he mean? What does he mean? He can't run in 2028. And I'm like, I think he might be kind of trolling. I don't know.
It's possible. I mean, why not? He is the master troller of all things, just saying. So, I don't know. Maybe I love him. He's just awesome. He's like everybody's grandpa. It's just the best.
Everybody's grandpa. Well, and what really struck me though, Allie, is he is extremely on his best behavior. This is not, I was watching it and I'm like, who is this person? Staying to the script and just really trying to be respectful. And
yes. Well, because it's a different, you don't want to be rude, right? I mean, we did win. We won. So, but you got good sportsmanlike conduct, I think. That's good.
That's good. Allie, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We want to make sure our viewers, for those of you that are listening and can see us and can type, make sure that you comment down below to our Spotify viewers.
I'm watching.
Listeners, Spotify listeners, we thank you for listening and tuning in. Guys, we are on the verge of possibly extending open mic to a second hour. So we would like to hear how you feel about that. I'm sure, just give women another hour to talk, and we will, clearly. But we're going to have a quick commercial break. Make sure you guys get your Liberty cigars and use promo code OpenMic. We'll be right back after this.
From the heart of Marietta, Georgia, comes a tribute to the spirit of liberty. Liberty Cigars, where history meets craftsmanship. Each cigar tells a story. The Founders Collection honors the visionaries who shaped a nation. The President's House Collection celebrates the leaders who steered it. And the Naval Series salutes the heroes who defended it. Handcrafted with precision, each blend mirrors the essence of its namesake. From the boldness of George Washington to the elegance of Thomas Jefferson. Indulge in a moment of reflection. Light a Liberty cigar and savor the legacy. Discover your story at libertycigars.com, because every great nation deserves a great cigar. Liberty Cigars, smoke the history. And don't forget to use promo code OpenMic for 10% off your order.
Gold IRA companies are a dime a dozen, especially in conservative media. We vetted out 34 companies and chose Augusta Precious Metals.
With the lowest across-the-board spreads in the gold IRA industry, Augusta saves Americans thousands of dollars.
They are the only major gold IRA company that has zero complaints from their customers. Zero. None.
Augusta Precious Metals does not have commissioned sales reps, which means their goals are aligned with yours.
They were the only gold IRA company that demonstrated integrity and transparency without using gimmicks.
The informative one-on-one web conferences by Augusta Precious Metals answer all of their customers' questions before they make a move.
If you're ready to learn about protecting your wealth and retirement with gold and silver, request your free gold guide from Augusta Precious Metals today.
Visit patriot.tv/gold. That's patriot.tv/gold today.
I like it better when you're sitting in here and we're both dancing. Other than needing
know.
my morning coffee when Allie's in the studio. Welcome back to Open Mic with Allie and Michelle. We've got a ton more to get to, including, what they should believe instead of delivering the news and then maybe having a little bit of commentary about it. And I'm speaking predominantly, late night TV, lots of times it's tongue in cheek. You think about Saturday Night Live, like I don't really take that extremely serious, but you have to listen to the rhetoric coming out of Jimmy Kimmel the other day. And then we're going to follow up on what took place with him. Take a quick listen here.
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking
I really don't want to listen to Jimmy Kimmel at all. So you just that little soundbite in the beginning, that one of our own, that basically saying that the shooter was MAGA, America First. Now we had a ton of information over the weekend from the FBI that pointed to the exact opposite, even though his family maybe didn't agree with what he did. So I don't know how he comes out and says that, Allie. That is, where do you draw that conclusion? He didn't cite sources. You know what we do here on this show all the time if you don't like what we're saying? You can not like what we're saying, but we always back it up with a source. This is where we got it. This is where we heard. This is to prove to you that it's not just our opinion. it's actually the news as it's happening. I don't know.
So I mean, to me, it's either cognitive dissonance or it's just a commitment to ignorance, which, you know what I mean? In order for him to get claps and likes while he's, delivering his message. I don't understand how he got there either. That is just very, very interesting that he would think that or say that.
Well, and the follow-up is that it did get much worse for Jimmy Kimmel. Take a look at this. Sinclair Broadcasting Group, who owns 24 of the ABC stations in major cities, announced they are filling Jimmy Kimmel's time slot with a tribute to Charlie Kirk. They've also recently, as of this morning, kicked his show off the network.
Well, yeah. I mean, so a lot of people are saying, the left is probably 2%. The left 2%. Is saying that MAGA got Jimmy Kimmel canceled. Actually, no. Jimmy Kimmel got Jimmy Kimmel canceled. When the commission these are the rules. The commission prohibits, right, against the broadcast of hoaxes is a set forth a section of like 7.3.1 whatever commission's rules, right?
Right.
And the rules prohibit broadcasters, the broadcast license or permittees from broadcasting false information concerning a crime or catastrophe if the licensee knows this information is false, which you do because it literally was all the information was available from the FBI, a legitimate source. If it is foreseeable that broadcast of the information will cause substantial public harm, and broadcast of the information does in fact directly cause substantial public harm. So that is why Jimmy Kimmel got arrested. I mean, not arrested, maybe, but canceled.
Is that foreshadowing?
Possibly.
Well, and Allie, one of the things we covered last week with a heavy heart, we covered it, was watching Kash Patel, the FBI director, come out and have to really update us on the status of the investigation, knowing he was searching at the time, had a manhunt at the time for the killer of his dear friend, Charlie Kirk. But he turned around and got us information within 38 hours. Which is unheard of when you think about the Butler, Pennsylvania incident, which fell under obviously Biden's FBI, and a lot of other instances.
And we still don't know all of the information that we need to know about Thomas Cook. Like, where is that information at? I get it, Charlie Kirk, I get it. But this man, Thomas, tried to assassinate our president, and we need more information on that. And I want to know who was funding that operation as well.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll get to the bottom of it. Because Charlie Kirk seemed very personal to this kid. I think the assassination attempt for President Trump was was a little different. I don't think it was on a personal level.
Well, and I want to encourage our viewers to stay tuned, because as we get closer to the end of the hour, we are going to bring some breaking news on just exactly that, because Kash Patel has kind of let some information out about what they're finding as far as how this is coming about. But I do want to divert for just a second, because, Allie, one of the things that you do well, that we do well when we go to Washington, D.C. or Tallahassee here is, obviously not only trying to educate our legislators on things that the grassroots are concerned about, maybe the way that some of their laws have inadvertently affected their communities, whether they like it or not, and also to try to give them courage to do the right thing. So we obviously want to pay attention to those that are in office right now and how they're voting. Representative Brandon Gill, he's a Republican from Texas. He called out another representative, Ilhan Omar, for posting a video where she's basically justifying the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Take a listen to what Representative Gill had to say, and then we'll comment on it.
Thank you again for taking the time, Director Patel, and for Chairman Jordan for holding this hearing. Thank you for depoliticizing the FBI and getting it back to its original mission as well. Director Patel, do you agree that we have a problem in the United States with politically motivated violence?
Absolutely.
And I very much agree. I think we can all agree that political violence is wrong, it's evil, regardless of which side it comes from, and that we can all adamantly and vehemently reject it, or we certainly should. But one of the things that we've noticed recently is that affinity and tolerance for political violence is not equally distributed on both sides of the aisle. In fact, right now, social media is filled with leftists who are cheering on the murder of an iconic conservative political figure, Charlie Kirk. And it's not just random people on Twitter doing this now. There's a YouGov poll released just a few days ago, which stated that 25% of those who identify as very liberal believe that political violence can sometimes be justified. That's far too many, is it not? It is.
One is far too many.
One is far too many. That's right. Only 3% of very conservatives said the same thing, and we can agree that 3% is far too many. But there's an astounding difference between 25% on the left accepting and tolerating political violence and 3% on the right. I would hope that our colleagues on the other side of the aisle would also recognize that there is a systemic problem on their side of the aisle with tolerance for violence against people with whom they politically disagree, that there is a cultural rot on their side of the aisle that needs to be addressed desperately.
So again, he's alluding to the video that Ilhan Omar posted on social media, where she's basically justifying, saying he was asking for it, or I guess I can't even listen. Reporting on something like this is so hard because I have to get so far out of my head to figure out why people's heads are up somewhere else in order to have this viewpoint. It's so inhumane to have to report this stuff, Allie. But he's right. I can't understand how 20% of an ideology believes that this is actually justified, what happened to Charlie Kirk. And
yeah,
and
well, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to read some of the information that was submitted into the congressional record, some of her language that was submitted into the congressional record yesterday. She was at a Ziteo town hall with Mehdi Hassan, in which she smeared Charlie Kirk and implied he was to blame for his own murder. September 12, 2025, 2 days after the assassination, she reposted a video on X, which disparaged the character of Charlie Kirk. She said Charlie Kirk is dead, and before the body got cold, the far right propped his corpse up as a cudgel for their holy war. I mean, it goes on. You can go to Nancy Mace's page to find some of it. I know we have a little bit of time. So yeah. She says also, don't be fooled. These people don't give a single shit about Charlie Kirk. They are just using his death to further their Christo-fascist agenda. She also said that he enacted his political agenda. He was a reprehensible human being. He enacted his political agenda by preying on weak-minded people, which sounds like them, not us, right? He took complex socioeconomic issues and simplified them by pointing fingers at outgroups, demonizing them, and sinking his massive following on them, which is not actually true. But regardless of how you feel about what she says,
yes,
she still has a right to say it.
Yeah, but I'm going to play the other side here because I'm going to show a short video by Tim Burchett. Yeah. When you're elected to office,
you are held to a different standard.
You are held to a higher standard. And I would argue that your social media page that you have as your the one that's government run, so to speak,
yeah.
should be in line with what you're called to do by upholding the Constitution. You are held to a higher standard. If we're going to say this about media, if we're going to throw Jimmy Kimmel off the air because he can't report the facts correctly, what are we doing in Congress to somebody who is still inciting the same rhetoric? So here's what happened, guys. There was a vote that came up in front of our Congress to censure Ilhan Omar. I think and those that didn't vote for it had their reason. I want to listen to Tim Burchett, but I want to have this discussion because we always call out the left when they do something like this. I don't know, was it that we couldn't get everybody in line, or did they have specific reasons why they did what they did? Take a listen to Tim Burchett real quick.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett, just leaving the House floor. Several bills. The Democrat bill on Omar they blocked us censoring her, if you can believe that. Yes, some Republicans didn't vote with us. Anyway, District of Columbia Policing Protection Act. It's a good bill by Clay Higgins. You can believe this. Police can't chase somebody.
He's talking
during-
about other things that were
Another
happening
bill,
in the House
yeah,
today.
that,
But so regardless of how you feel about how we maybe feel about it, I don't know. I was shocked that they couldn't censure her. I understand free speech, but the reason why they have the ability to censure those that are elected to serve is because they are held to a higher standard. It stops short of expulsion or removing her. I don't know. I guess we'll keep an eye on it.
Okay, well, so here, what is censoring? Censoring is essentially your colleagues publicly shaming you for your behavior. It's not leading to really any kind of reprimand. And why are we censoring her for this when she has literally said in past tense, a couple months ago, maybe a year ago, I don't know how long ago, but she has literally said that she has pledged allegiance to Somalia. If you are pledging allegiance to Somalia, that would be a reason to censure or expel her because her interests are no longer for America. Her interests are for a foreign nation. So I understand the sentiment. I get it. However, speech is speech. There's no such thing as hate speech. It's a made-up term, and you have the right to speak. However, you do not have the right to obscure consequence from it. And there's a reason why there's a vote. If the vote passes, sure, great, censure her. But at the same time, I really wish that our Republican House that got on board and actually pushed this forward in a few days to get her censured had that same energy when it came to repealing the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012 and bringing it back to its original intent of 1948. Right. If you can push this through to censure someone for their speech because you're worried about their rhetoric, why are we not trying to do the same thing to hold our media accountable for actually pushing forward this information? And why is there also not an investment in Minnesota to change the direction of these people and how they think and what they're doing? Why like the same kind of thing that Brandon Straka is doing in New York City needs to happen in her district and in her area? Where are the Republicans that are from that area that have the courage to stand 10 toes down on constitutional principle to censure someone, but refuse to do the work on the ground to get her unelected?
Well, and let's be very clear, Brandon Straka and the success he's having in New York City, as well as Charlie Kirk from Turning Point USA, those were both done independent of party. And you hit the nail on the head, because there is this culture of inaction and kind of wanting to advance certain agendas and not advance others. And I wholeheartedly agree with you on that 100%. But having that kind of rot within our own party does not excuse, in my opinion, the ability to actually, censoring is a congressional slap on the wrist. You're absolutely right. It wasn't it's a well-intended letter. But you know what? Why do we have it if we can't hold people accountable? We have pushed on this show and on other platforms to censor people because we need a tick, so to speak, next to their name on things that they've done. They should have done it when she came out and said she speaks more for Somalia. I don't know why they didn't, but it doesn't to me, it doesn't excuse not doing it now. Now, Allie, what they just showed us is how quickly they can move if they really want to, right?
That is my entire point. You know how many bills are sitting waiting for Speaker Johnson to pick up and put forward? Do you know how much we could advance America by having this same kind of energy codify President Trump's executive orders? But no, you want to make a show, a political theater to censure someone for their speech. Okay, understood. I get it. However, what else is more important? Is Charlie Kirk more important than codifying our executive orders? No.
Well, let's be honest. We wouldn't have had the incident just now with Jimmy Kimmel if we didn't have the Smith-Mundt Act back on the books.
I know.
So
I know.
It's kind of fun. Do you ever get tired of saying "I told you so"? Does it ever get old, Allie? No.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of sick of it. Actually, I don't want to be right, yo. Like,
I don't want to be right about this. Don't want to be right about this. Well, listen, this is a bombshell, guys, that you're going to want to lean in and press in a little bit on. when this came across my my device, I had to watch it and listen to it and expound on it a little bit because this is sad. Basically, Kash Patel, as he is testifying in the House right now, he comes across this bombshell story. I'll let him tell it, and then we'll get your reaction, Allie. Take a look.
Counterterrorism work, cyber attacks, and foreign adversaries are something the FBI must never sleep on, and we are not sleeping. In the counterintelligence space alone, this year to date, 30% increase in counterintelligence arrests from the DPRK, Russia, Iran, and China. And I want the American people to know, in this setting, there's a lot of work that the brave men and women in the FBI are doing we just can't get into, but they don't stop. Our cyber threats, ransomware attacks, those harming our children online. We have nearly a 20% increase in indictments arrests in 7 months alone this year. Wow. We're going after those that harm our malware, infrastructure systems, telecom systems, and energy structure. Combating SALT and Vault typhoons are just a little bit of the examples we're doing. Maybe most importantly, under the counterterrorism and domestic terrorism umbrella, are nihilist, violent extremists, and those that label themselves 764, who wish to go online and convince children to maim and mutilate themselves and commit suicide. And we are producing record numbers of arrests under that umbrella organization. We even stopped an individual in the 764 network who wanted to conspire to kill an adolescent girl. He is now in custody. Transparency remains one of my main priorities at the FBI. And this is what I've done in my 7 months at the helm. We've produced more than 33,000 pages of documents to Congress to a variety of committees, including, I believe, 7,500 to this committee alone, if memory serves me correct. To put the 33,000 in perspective, my predecessor in 7 years produced 13,000 pages in total to the United States Congress. His predecessor in 4 years produced 3,000 pages in total. I repeat, I have produced 33,000 pages in 7 years to this Congress and will continue to do so. I'm dedicated to restoring the trust and the mission and the integrity of the FBI, and we cannot do so without congressional oversight. And I promise you I will continue to do so.
So
this is crazy.
He's expounding about this network that they're discovering. And obviously this is something we knew was happening with the shooter. He was in these dark, secluded chat rooms, and it kind of becomes this your new normal. And so all the weirdness and all the extremism that you believe is kind of, you're in an echo chamber. So you don't ever realize how extreme it is. But this network, 764 network, their goal is to get young people to commit suicide, to commit bodily harm, or to go out and commit mass casualty events.
And again, to kind of tie this into our last topic, Ilhan Omar and the crew, right? They're whatever they're called. These girls, the squad, whatever the hell. I don't even care. Like, anyway, they all support this, and they've been out in public supporting the mutilization of children. They support, defunding the police. They support, programs like this, initiatives like this to mold the young minds of children to become terrorists or to hurt themselves. They support this. And so over the years, why hasn't there been the same effort to censure or to publicly reprimand these representatives for those comments? As well? Like this is why I had such an issue with what happened yesterday. And this is why I also think in good faith, the four, especially, I mean, I know one of them personally, so I understand where they're coming from constitutionally, but also, like, why is it now that we're going after words and rhetoric when it's been going on for the last 10 years? And we have the majority right now, but 8 months, it's been 8 months. And now we're to censure people. Like, it's just, it blows my mind. But I'm glad.
And I completely, go ahead.
I'm glad that FBI Director Kash Patel is bringing forth this information, because parents need to know what's happening on these devices that they're giving their kids. You are handing them essentially, and I don't want to say it like this, but you're handing them almost like a loaded weapon.
Yeah.
Because their minds are so malleable, and if you are not inoculating them and having discussions with them about the dangers of what is on the internet and the information that they are able to find, and you're not trying to have the conversations to dispel a lot of the misinformation or disinformation that is out there, you're just allowing your kid to just run around and get involved in some of these things that are detrimental to their health and their mental well-being.
It's like we talked about yesterday, Allie, you know, in the good old days, we were tethered to a wire into the wall. And so many people in your family knew what you were talking about or who you were talking to or how long you were on the phone. Now it's like this conversation that you have in your mind. And so you could be taking parameters to protect your children on so many other fronts. You look at even like homeschooling or, you know, getting them involved, making sure who their friends are and their peers. But if this is different. It's just so personal and so quiet and so sneaky and can be deceptive. I want to pivot just a second to something that you sent me the other day. I had to do some research on this because we love Scott Presler. We love what he's doing to get out the vote. But it looks like he's getting some threats and some hate. Take a look at this post. When I first saw this, I was like, Dwayne Johnson, like Dwayne The Rock Johnson? But there's a period after his name, which makes me think this is a parody account. I couldn't really find anything specific on The Rock actually threatening Scott Presler. So I think this is a parody account, but nonetheless, you can read it there for yourself, guys. Scott Presler's playing a dangerous game. They say, you know, Scott better watch his back. He'll be joining his friend Charlie Kirk soon.
That's just disgusting. And I hope that our FBI is looking into it because, I mean, they're going after the ones that are the most effective. That is what is currently happening. They're going after the ones that are most effective.
And I want our audience to understand, Ellie, because we talk about this a lot here and also on Coastal Conservative News, because that's Florida based, on how we aren't always very friendly received, even within our within the Republican Party. So I want people to understand that as much as we're calling this leftist rhetoric, it's not like our current party is really always trying to stand behind Trump or trying to stand behind America First or MAGA or even the Constitution. That's why you see people like Scott Presler and Charlie Kirk and even Brandon Straka be so incredibly effective. It's because it resonates with people. People are really largely tired of partisan party politics. We all want to be Americans. We all want our children to be able to read. We want to be able to put food on the table. We want to be able to pay our mortgage, and we wanted to be able to not be maimed out in the street by a radical extremist or somebody that's in our country illegally that shouldn't be here. Like, plain and simple. How that doesn't relay over to every platform in the Republican and Democrat Party is beside me. I don't really understand it.
I don't either. I don't either. I mean, I agree with you. It's just
so it's frustrating.
It is very frustrating. It really is. And I don't see how people, we have such it's like we just have such a disrespect for life. Yeah. If you're able to say things like this, like, oh, he better watch his back. He's going to be joining his friend Charlie Kirk. Like, that's a terroristic threat.
Yeah.
On a public figure. He is a public figure. I mean, it is what it is. And it's really disheartening to see, especially young folks and even the adults in the room, like the older generation. You got some Gen Xers that are doing the same.
Most of the people at that school board meeting were older than me, shouting that I'm a Nazi.
And I'm just like, you were supposed to be the example. You're supposed to be the example. And this is the kind of thing you're tolerating. This is the kind of thing you're helping mold these children into. You're essentially okaying terrorism.
Exactly.
And public execution. But you're against the death penalty. Or you want due process, but you advocate due process when it comes to, you know, an assassination. Or you want gun control, you're all for gun control, but okay for an assassination. Like, what kind of political pretzel, Michelle Posey, what kind of political pretzel are you putting yourself into? Like, this is just, it's wild. It is absolutely wild.
It's wild. It's wild. Maybe we need swag that says political pretzel.
I think so. And put a blue-haired, purple-haired, I don't know.
Never too far on this show. You're going to have a whole nother hour. I want to kind of end on something that I think will help with a little bit of hope that, you know, obviously our intelligence community is now under new direction and they are doing things right. I mean, not as quickly as I want to see it done. And I still want to see people in orange jumpsuits, but I want to listen to Jim Jordan. You sent me this the other day. It did make me smile. It's kind of a rapid fire with Jim Jordan and Kash Patel, where he just lists out.
He's so good at it.
And now it's going into congressional record, all the wins and all the things that he's doing. Take a listen.
Director, yes or no? Is the FBI still spying on parents at school board meetings?
No, sir.
Is the FBI still targeting Catholics?
No, sir.
Is the FBI still spying on President Trump?
I don't believe so.
Is the FBI still censoring Americans?
No, sir.
Is the FBI still targeting Americans for shopping at Cabela's or purchasing Bibles?
Nobody is targeted for their faith.
Is the FBI still targeting Americans who are pro-life?
Nobody is targeting anyone for their beliefs.
Is the FBI still cooking the books on crime data?
The crime data is real.
Is the FBI still purging agents for conservative viewpoints?
No one at the FBI has asked their viewpoints on policy.
Is the FBI still labeling the Betsy Ross flag, the flag of the American Revolution, a hate symbol?
No.
Well, maybe that's why you've been able to, what was the number? 23,000 bad guys you've arrested, a huge increase from the same time period in the previous administration. I think you said 1,400 predators, 4,000 children rescued. Were those the facts?
4,700, 35% increase on children rescued.
Yeah. And you got the guy that, Abbey Gate.
We got the Abbey Gate guy.
We had a guy from the 4th District of Ohio who lost his life there serving our country. We appreciate that. Maybe when you're not focused on politics, you can actually do what the FBI is supposed to do. Go get the bad guys, right?
That's what the men and women of the FBI do.
I loved it. It's great. This is so great.
It's amazing.
We could replay that like another reason.
You know how sometimes before you're getting ready to speak, before like a political rally or, God forbid, a school board or before the legislature, you need almost that song that you listen to. I was talking about this with somebody that's elected here locally. Like, what is your song that you play in your head that like kind of gets you geared up because you're just going to get tons of crap and backlash. Maybe this is one of those things that we play. Like it kind of motivates you to realize, are we moving the needle? Yes, you're moving the needle. The 2024 election is unequivocally moving that needle. We're moving the needle. We're seeing it play out in all facets of our life. But also, Allie, it's kind of like when you shine that light brighter. Have you ever, if you live in Florida or the South, you ever gone into a room and flipped the light on, like when it's dark, and you're like, I hope whatever is, if there's anything crawling, please scurry into a shadow because I don't want to see it. Well, the light's been flipped on with the election of 2024 and everybody that's been appointed throughout the administration. But now you're kind of seeing what was in the dark, and it's kind of yuck.
It is, but I'm glad that Jim Jordan had this rapid fire questioning and that Kash Patel had an answer for it. And you can see the difference. So the questions that Representative Jim Jordan was asking, who is also one of my favorites, and I love meeting with him and speaking with him. He is just incredible. But the things that he was asking were of the last administration. And seeing the dichotomy, the difference between the two is very eye-opening. And I'm hoping that people actually like stuck onto that. And yes, so Laura Hartman commented, she said, you forgot malinformation. Yes, ma'am. Malinformation as well.
Laura.
Not just disinformation or misinformation, but malinformation. I get it.
For that correction. I love our viewers. They always, they keep us, they keep us on.
Roger that,
okay?
Nurse Laura, roger that.
That's so true. Allie, we're missing you here, obviously in the Sunshine State, but what people need to realize is that the Open Mic Ladies, we started from not being silenced because we were very active in our community. We went on to run for office. We help people run for office. We help people understand that are elected to office, what the grassroots requires for them. And it just keeps expanding because now we're going across the country really to help in that avenue. I think it's exciting. This is what I want to tell our viewers. I don't know what it is that your role is. Maybe for you, it's voting for the first time. Maybe you've given up on whoever's been on the ticket and voting is going to be what the difference for you in 2026. Maybe it's finally talking to your kids or your adult kids about what we're witnessing in culture. Maybe it is getting involved in a campaign. Maybe it's running for office. Whatever that is, Allie, they have a very specific role to play, and we all need to kind of lift this heavy lift, right?
I agree. There are a lot of people that are walking away from the left, and I encourage you, when you change your registration to Republican, do not just vote because there's an R next to their name.
Yeah.
I need you to do the research and really dig deep into who these people are. Go to where they are when they're speaking. Call the phone numbers that are on their palm cards and ask them the difficult questions. Ask them the questions. Get to know them. Meet with them. Build a relationship with them. Don't just empty vote, okay? And yes, also get involved. Figure out how you can encourage others to do the same thing that you have done. Walk away from this oppressive, socialist, just kind of mind pretzel thing that has happened with the left. Encourage others to do the same. Always be the sharpest tip of the spear in your circle of influence. You don't need a platform. All you need is your voice. Be like Charlie, exercise your voice, your First Amendment rights. And we love you guys.
And never go muted. Keep that mic open even beyond this broadcast, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you all tomorrow. Have a wonderful afternoon.
What do you do when the gas is high? Inflation's up in the sky. Red hat stays on. Red hat stays on. And I don't care how they look at me in the deepest heart of a blue city. Red hat stays on. Red hat stays on. And I know when you smile, you like what you see. If you love America, you'll agree. Red hat stays on. Red hat stays on.